I'm here with Lynn Lilly, and Lynn, you have brought this really beautiful family photo board, and your family, by the way, is super beautiful too.
Thank you. I love my cute little family, and I love to take pictures of my family, and so a great way to display it is really important.
So how do we get started?
Okay, so we're gonna do a faux weathered board. So if you think weathering is hard, I got you covered.
Awesome.
So we're gonna start with a white stain and just apply it.
What's the difference between a stain and a paint?
So here's the thing, I like to say it's kind of like I guess you would say a paint's like a lipstick. It kind of sits on top of the surface, where a stain is almost like a chapstick. So it soaks into the surface of the wood and actually penetrates it. And then you can also still see some of the cool kind of lines that the wood has.
So it's like if you really want to embrace whatever's underneath, you want to use a stain. And if you want to cover it, you want to use a paint. So
you can also see how nicely that covers, right?
Yeah.
So because of time's sake, I've got one already painted for you. So you can kind of check out how nice it is. And you know, depending on how thick you want the color to be, you can do multiple coats. Okay, so now here's the fun part. We're gonna take just a few dots of some gray stain, and we're gonna mix it right in with our white stain. And
I was gonna say, I'm surprised that you're putting it directly in with the white.
Yes. So I kind of I don't want too dark of a gray. I just want just light enough to be able to see. Then I'm gonna take my foam brush, I'm gonna dip it right in there, and here's the fun part. You just kind of swipe it across the surface.
So how do you know when to use a foam brush versus when to use a bristle brush?
So it really is kind of texture. I like that this kind of lays it on the surface pretty heavily, because I'm gonna show you kind of what we're gonna do next. So you wanna kind of take a paper towel then, and then we're gonna smudge it in to kind of get that weathered look. And then you wanna keep going back. You can add darker if you want, but you start to see those darker lines that kind of look like it's worn. So check it out after you kind of go over it a couple times, you get that great weathered look.
It's beautiful.
Right? And it dries really quickly, which I love.
I feel like you could do this with a table and stuff right there.
You could, yes, absolutely. Do some home decor. Okay, so now here's the fun part. We're gonna pick out our pictures. So I've got 3 pictures here that are some of my favorites of my family, and I'm gonna go ahead and put those on the board. I'm gonna use a photo-safe glue and just add a few dots on the back, just to kind of get it on there. Always use a photo-safe glue, because you wanna make sure that it does not go through your photo.
I didn't realize that photo-safe glue meant that it didn't go through. I just thought it meant that it was archival.
No, so it also, like, you'll see some glues will penetrate your photo, and you'll see those marks.
Oh, wow.
And I don't like that.
No, who would like that?
Right. Okay, so now it's time to personalize, which I love. So we've got a satin ribbon and decorative tape printer that we're gonna add some fun personalization to remember those memories. So I'm gonna start and put our family name on here. And because of course, I want everyone to know who we are. So if we're displaying it in our house.
Absolutely, it's a pride of your family.
Exactly, and then I'm gonna pick a font. I love it because there is about 14 different fonts that you can select. And then we're gonna go ahead and print it out on this really fun checked tape. So I like, because my photos have a little bit of a red kind of tone to them. So adding this
makes
to
me think of a picnic always.
Yes, it
Something
does,
about
right?
That.
And these photos are kind of from a little summer fun we had. And so you can get creative with it. I also printed out 2 more. So if you want to start taking the backs off of those for me. So I did summer fun, and then I did the name of the park.
Oh, so I think this is really important, because you think you're going to remember locations forever, but I certainly know in my scrapbooks, I don't even think you need to be that old. I look back on things from 6 weeks ago and I think, what was that?
Right? I know. Yeah, it's just hard, especially, you know, as you're busy, you kind of forget some of those things. So this is a really nice reminder. Okay, so
so you put one on each photo.
I did, one on each photo.
That's clever. I thought you were just going to stack them.
No, right there to balance it out. And then we've got a cute little family sign. We're going to use our hot glue right here to just add that in, and then we're gonna do something fun so that you can either display this or you can hang it. So we're gonna put this right here.
You know, people always ask why crafters use so many different types of glue, and the answer is you're doing so many different things.
So many different
mediums,
because you couldn't use a photo glue on that piece of wood. So we're gonna switch out our cartridge, and we're gonna go with one of the satin ribbons. So we're gonna use this red satin ribbon. Because I also think that it really kind of matches our photo. We've got those red undertones. And what I love about this machine is that there are some really cool patterns that are already in there, and you don't have to do anything. So
I like lazy crafting. I'm always a fan of like, just make it happen.
We are so busy, right? That sometimes we just need to add that quick personalization.
You know, when somebody finds out that you're a crafter, I think they very often say something like, oh, I don't have the time for that. Yep. And the thing I always say is you do have the time, you just have to learn how to craft lazy.
Absolutely. And so I love this because it also lets you select the length of your ribbon.
Okay.
So we're gonna do something longer with it. So I'm gonna put 30 inches in there and I'm gonna print that out. Okay, so, because I know we're limited on time, I got something started for you with this. While that's printing it out, I'll show you. So what I've got here is I tied it in a bow and then I took some floral wire and I'm gluing it to my floral wire. This is gonna give me a nice, sturdy hook if I wanna hang it on the wall.
Oh, you're basically making your own wired ribbon.
I am.
That's so clever.
Right, and this just helps it stand up nicely. So if you wanna hang it on a hook on the wall, you can. Or it also kind of looks cool just sitting.
And I'll also say you're hot gluing it in pieces instead of doing like one whole side. And that's so smart because I have tried to do the whole side. And what happens, of course, is the hot glue hardens before you can even get there.
Yep. Okay, and then I want to show you one other thing. So I used a different tape that is a geometric pattern. And we're going to put this, I did today's little moments become tomorrow's precious memories.
So true.
And this is really always something that I like to tell my husband. So to keep those memories alive, because he's always like, you're taking a million pictures. And I'm like, let me just tell you why. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add this to the bottom right here before we put that hook on.
I like how that gold coordinates actually with the wood of the family.
Yep.
That's such, I wouldn't have thought to put wood with gold, but it really works.
It looks good, right?
Yeah.
So I love that there's so many different options that you can do. Okay, so we're gonna flip this over and then we're gonna take our satin ribbon and we're gonna actually glue it right to the back of here. So you kind of want to estimate. You could probably use a ruler if you've got time, but I'm going to eyeball it.
Is it strong enough, the hot glue, to hold it so that you can mount it on the wall that way? Wow.
So as long as you're using a hot glue, you don't want to use a cold shot.
Okay.
It will.
How about a low temp hot glue gun? Still not great?
I would not use a low temp just to be safe. And you know, depending on how much you put on. So I always like to go back and kind of reinforce almost over it.
Oh, that's really clever. So you're sandwiching almost like you're creating like a staple with your glue. And obviously you'd let that set up at home for just a moment.
And then you see it. And we've got one on display over here.
And it is on that beautiful wire. And it really looks like the ribbon is somehow magically floating above the top, which is super duper cool.
So it works great if you want to display it or you want to put it on the wall. And then we've got a whole bunch of different satin ribbon and tape options that you can use to kind of personalize. You can see we use a washi tape over on that smaller one there to just add some fun words of inspiration. And then we used a white satin ribbon with gold to keep it simple on this one.
You know, this would be such a great gift for grandparents. It would be a lovely thing after a weekend. You spend at a friend's house to send them a memory.
Thank you.
Yeah, you could certainly, even because it's a raised surface, you could use some resin or something and make it into a tray.
You definitely could. The possibilities are endless, but what I love most is personalizing because it just adds that extra touch. And when you can do it quickly, right, we know that we're busy, so when you get those quick crafts in, it's really great.
Thank you so much, Lynn.
Thanks so much for having me.
And a super fun project that I hope you'll try.